F1 in Las Vegas is turning into an absolute shit show. Now, I saw a lot of this coming from a mile away, but earlier this week, news about the event broke that surprised even me. When it was first announced that Formula One was going to be bringing a race to Las Vegas, I was thrilled. I mean, I'm a huge Las Vegas fan, obviously, and I'm a massive Formula One fan. The idea of seeing F1 cars scream down the Vegas Strip at 350 kilometers an hour while the neon lights fly by was super exciting to me. However, as I started to really think about the logistics of hosting something like this in a city like Las Vegas, especially running that event down the middle of one of the busiest streets in the world, I started to think that it might not all be sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows when it came to running this event. And I decided at the time to make a few predictions on how I thought this was going to go. Prediction number one. I said that the ticket prices for the event were going to be ridiculously expensive. And guess what? I was right. To almost everybody's surprise but mine, tickets for the Las Vegas Grand Prix are the most expensive on the Formula One calendar for 2023. General admission tickets sold out almost instantly and are now only available on the secondary market, averaging between $1,500 and $3,000 for a 3-day pass. Basic grandstand seats average around $4,500 and go up into the tens of thousands of dollars. And once you start getting into anything to do with hospitality suites or VIPs, you're now looking at the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Essentially, the average F1 fan has been completely priced out of this race. Prediction number two. I said that the room rates over race weekend would be astronomical. And again, I was right. Really, this should come as no surprise at all. Anybody who's ever tried to book a Vegas vacation only to discover that there's a major event happening in the city during their planned time has seen what this can do to room rates. That room at the Horseshoe that you booked for $30 a night during an off week in the middle of October is going to run you about $300 a night during the Consumer Electronics Show in January. Formula One, however, has taken it to an entirely new level. So-called budget resorts like Excalibur and Circus Circus are, at minimum, $350 a night. Harrah's, the Flamingo, and the Rio are going for around $600 a night. Caesar's Palace, the Aria, and Videra start at $1,100 a night. And two of the higher-end resorts along the race route, the Bellagio and the Cosmopolitan, feature rooms starting at around $2,000 a night and going up from there. Prediction number three. I said that the construction in preparation for the event was going to cause absolute chaos. Once again, I nailed it. When the track map was initially released, I knew right away there was going to be problems. Several people disagreed with me, saying there wouldn't be any issues because it was only going to be a few weeks of construction. Boy, were they ever wrong. F1 construction has been going on for months now, and it should have been done weeks ago. They're way behind schedule, which has led to massive traffic nightmares along the Las Vegas Strip, with lane closures, access to resorts being blocked, and huge backups and delays for drivers. Some people have even posted on social media that it's taken them upwards of 2.5 to 3 hours to drive from one end of the Vegas Strip to the other. And this is just the preliminary preparation. As it gets closer to the actual event, we'll see more closures for the installation of guardrails, barricades, signage, and grandstands. Trust me, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. But this past week, the New York Post released a story that surprised even me. Word came out that some restaurants and clubs along the Strip had been contacted by F1 officials and told that if they wanted to have views of the track, they'd be required to pay a licensing fee in order to maintain that view. How much are these venues being shaken down for? Well, according to a copy of the F1 proposal that the Post got their hands on, the license fee will equal the maximum occupancy of the venue as per the fire code multiplied by $1,500. So if you want to do the quick math on that, a venue that can hold 1,500 people would be forced to pay $2.25 million. So what if a venue doesn't want to pay the licensing fees? F1 has said that they may place obstructions like barricades, signage, and grandstands in areas that would block the view. Some sources have even made claims that representatives from the Grand Prix have threatened that lights would be shined towards the viewing areas of unlicensed venues, blinding anyone trying to sneak a peek at the race. Needless to say, this move has people extremely pissed off. A quick scroll through social media shows that people are losing their ever-loving shit over this. Fans are calling F1 money-hungry and greedy. Locals are particularly upset considering the amount of inconvenience they've already faced due to construction and the anticipated closures leading up to and during race weekend. And casino owners are baffled, saying it seems insane that they'd be asking for money from private venues for a public event taking place on public streets. Some people, myself included, think that this is simply a case of what goes around comes around. For the last several years, casino owners have been nickel and diming their guests with all kinds of bullshit fees, and now when they are squeezed for a bullshit fee, they get all bent out of shape about it. Now they know how it feels. Now, to play devil's advocate for a second, it should be noted that Formula One does charge similar fees in other race markets. As a matter of fact, 21 of the 23 races on the calendar pay annual hosting fees to F1. Those fees range from $15 million in Monaco up to $55 million for Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Formula One has also already dropped a fair amount of cash into the Las Vegas market. They've forked out roughly $40 million to cover half the cost of track resurfacing. They're paying nearly $10 million to use the parking lot for the newly built MSG Sphere, and they purchased a piece of land east of the Strip for $240 million to build a permanent structure, including their paddock, pit lane, and main grandstand. But none of that takes away from how sketchy this move by Formula One appears to be. Despite that, it seems that F1 is well within their legal rights to do what they're doing. According to a statement from Formula One and the Las Vegas Grand Prix, they're making this move to, quote, protect their brand and reputation. Las Vegas attorney Matthew Hoffman says that they do have a legitimate argument in that they're trying to protect their product. They're basically saying that if venues are going to host F1 viewing events and advertise them as F1 events, Formula One wants to make sure that these events are being run in an appropriate manner. Now, that's not to say that the issue may not still end up in court because the race is being held on public streets. Venues could take the position that because it's on public property and they own a piece of private property that happens to overlook that public property, they have the right to enjoy the view, and F1 does not have the right to restrict it. They may also try to argue that the rate being charged for the licensing fee is unreasonable, and it could end up affecting their business in a negative manner. That being said, venue owners may end up just eating it and paying the fees, knowing the amount of money and business that Formula One is going to bring to Las Vegas on that weekend. What do you think about all this? Are you surprised by this move by F1 in the Las Vegas Grand Prix? Do you think the casinos will suck it up and pay the fee? Or will they try to fight it out in court? Does Formula One have the balls to make good on their threat and block venues' views? Share your thoughts in the comments or reach out and let me know on social media at JeffDoesVegas or email me at jeff@jeffdoesvegas.com.